performance analysis expects, and this is again very much in line with the SCI presentation but different from version 1.2, expects usage of distributions, range of performance of processes, and including assessment of stability of the subprocess. And for these, usage of statistical techniques. Not only that, but usage of statistical techniques to determine, are you meeting your objectives or are you away from your objectives? It's no longer number comparisons, not just simple range comparison. There is statistical techniques we introduced at the lower level to give you a better understanding of the linkages and performance. For specific practice 1.5, no change in the practice statements, but the process performance models. The elaborations or the information inside it talks about the ability to meet different needs of the individual projects, of combinations, or even departments. And the models themselves could be at different levels of detail. As I said, this speaks. The first practice is typically to do with establishing goals at the project level. No change in the language there. For 1.2, there has been a change. Compose and define processes, what has remained common, but the kind of composition, as the expectations have been increased. What we're talking about is now using statistical and other quantitative techniques that would be evaluated, or that would be used to evaluate the ability to meet your objectives. The objectives would be for the project. 1.3 was talking about identifying critical sub-processes and therefore identifying attributes. No major change in statement out there. SP 1.4 actually got moved to the second goal because it was more of an execution related activity, and one of the planning related activities, the preparation related activities, got moved in. SP 2.1 of the previous model, or previous version of the model, came in here. And what we have is now identifying measures and techniques for application, and this would be for the quantitative management of the work in the project. If you look at goal 2, there's actually all these practices which have been moved around, and I would say a new practice added at the end, and removed one of the practices in version 1.2. So let's see this. The first practice talks about monitoring performance of sub-processes using statistical and other quantitative techniques. So one of the things that SCI is emphasizing now, earlier the goal 2 was to do with applying statistical techniques to manage sub-process performance. We've changed it to now managing the performance of the project using statistical and quantitative techniques. The combination is getting emphasized. The second practice, which also mixes, talks about performing usage of process performance models to be able to determine how well we are going against our objectives. The third practice that has been introduced is a causal analysis introduction. There's a realization that you have issues that come up, the issues need to be evaluated and understood, and that's where the causal analysis related practice was introduced. And a practice which was there in version 1.2, talking about record keeping, maintaining information, was eliminated. That is redundant, that does get covered in the general practices of the model. So let's see the few key things that came in from within the process area. First, introduction of statistical and quantitative techniques. So not only are statistical techniques to be used, but other quantitative techniques are to be leveraged and applied. These techniques can be used for individual sub-processes or at multiple levels, including the entire project. These would use process performance baselines and process performance models. If required, the development and usage at the project level. Some techniques that have been talked about: control charts, analysis of variance, regression analysis. Amber was talking about certain terms, right? Coming from all these terms out here. Confidence intervals, prediction intervals, sensitivity analysis, and so on. So these are all kinds of things that are coming in. And also an example of quantitative techniques that could be used besides the statistical ones, and that is trend analysis, run charts, Paretos, bar charts, etc. The introductory notes for the model have clarified that the integrated project management, which is what was the place where processes were actually tailored and selected, becomes a foundation for QPM implementation. And there's a distinction which has been added in the language so that you can realize that while IPM is useful to understand relationships, processes in a qualitative manner, the QPM practices build on that, take it further, build statistical analysis, and therefore a quantitative understanding of how the processes relate and can be used for achieving objectives. What else? The usage of actual data, actual performance data to predict performance processes is also being emphasized. Nothing new, things that have been happening earlier. Again, an emphasis that these techniques could be applied at multiple levels for individual sub-processes, to life cycle phases, to projects, or even support functions. So there's a bigger focus or scope of application where it can come in. Especially when you're talking about groups and functions, the idea is that these groups and functions and their performance would also influence achieving the broader business objectives of the organization. So, developing and understanding how that performance influences it would be useful. There was an example. You were talking about, I think, other functions coming in and supporting. So it was good to see that a lot of things are already starting to happen. Okay, looking at the practices, quick differences. Establishing objectives was specific practice 1.1. Few emphases that have been added. Understanding the risk of not achieving the objectives. Not just trying to build objectives and saying we'll get there, but also figure out if you're not achieving them, what are the risks. And using process performance models. We start introducing them early to see if there are conflicts and see what kind of resolutions could be there, and if these resolutions are adding new risks. Specific practice 1.2, which in the worst form of its implementation, I would say, was basically reapplication of integrated project management and the tailoring guidelines. Selecting a set of processes which you believe will work has been enhanced as was expected and as was intended to start using processes, their combinations with the help of models. What is interesting is they've talked about a what-if analysis using alternative processes which could come not only from the standard processes, they could be tailorings that have been performed, maybe not very often, but are existing in a process asset library as references. We did this a few times, this work. It isn't a very common use, but it could be one potential process that is available. Or even looking externally for processes which others have used. Besides trying to tune out the process in terms of doing more or less of certain things. And this, if done, could lead to calibration of the process performance models with data at the project level. And of course, a better understanding of the risks. The other practices in Goal 1, the enhancements are primarily on focusing of leading indicators being identified as a part of the sub-processes which you believe are critically influencing the results of projects. These leading indicators and the data that is being used could be within the project or could be coming across projects, especially if the projects are small, and that would be needing to be analyzed. The Goal 2 is now emphasizing the use of statistical techniques to monitor variation and achieve stability. So stability is getting emphasized a bit more besides an understanding of the variation, and the linkage to objectives is getting re-emphasized. The Goal 2 also talks about recalibrating the process performance model on the basis of actual performance in the project so that you can better predict or better understand your ability to meet objectives. The new practice that came in, root cause analysis, talks about identifying the issues and addressing them as soon as possible once they're identified. Though there's a fair bit of flexibility given in the level of formality that you can use for this causal analysis. You can make it as rigorous as the CAR